All right, a little bit more with condenser wiring. Here I've drawn the contactor at the top. So here's my switch, my contactor, picture of a contactor, and an actual contactor that may or may not fall during this little demonstration, but we'll see what happens. So we know that line one, this leg is going to power my run winding, in this case from a condenser fan motor, and after we do work in this inductive load, we have to see common come home to the opposite leg. So we've made a complete cycle. But now I have to power my start winding. My start winding helps that run winding work. So the same leg, this leg is powering my run winding. So this same leg is going to come down and power my C capacitor, my dual run capacitor. Now that we power the capacitor, the output of the capacitor is going to power the fan motor start winding. Now we've completely wired the condenser fan motor. Let's come down and do the same thing for the compressor. Line one is going to power my run winding. After we do work through this inductive load, we have to see common come home on the opposite side. And we also have to power the start winding, which helps the run winding work. So we've already powered our C capacitor. The output of the capacitor powers the hermetically sealed compressor start winding. Now the whole thing is wired, and this is not technically a correct drawing for a dual run capacitor, but I'm doing this to help with the learning process. So let's go with the picture look. Here we have the contactor. Instead of having two separate points, we have them down condensed into one contactor. So we're going to wire it the same way. The run winding runs to work in the condenser fan motor, and then we see common come home to the opposite leg. We've made a complete cycle, but I have to power this start winding. The start winding gets its power from the capacitor, so we have to first power the capacitor. Which leg powers my C capacitor? The same leg that powers the run winding powers the C capacitor. Once I've powered the capacitor, the fan motor, the output goes to the fan motor start winding. Now I've completely wired the three wires for the fan motor. We're going to do the same thing for the compressor. This leg was used for my run winding. I'm going to keep it the same. So we're going to come down here, power our run winding of our compressor, and then once we do work and the inductive load, we're going to see common come home to the opposite leg. But I have to get power to that start winding. So what we're going to do is go from our capacitor, Herm out. The Herm out is going to power our compressor start winding. So now we are completely wired up, just like we did in the lab. Let's do the same thing with these actual components and see if it will or will not fall off the board. So we're going to start from our contactor, just like we did. I'm going to find which one of these is my run winding. I know that black's most likely going to be common, brown's going to be most likely start, so red's going to be run. So we're going to run to work for inductive load for our condenser fan motor. You can see these are the three wires coming out. Then we're going to black, see common come home to the opposite leg. The opposite leg goes home. The same leg that powers the run winding, this leg powers run winding. So this leg is going to power our C capacitor. And it's going to power our C capacitor. And this wire is broken, but just for demonstration purposes, we'll just stick it on there. Right, so now we've wired our condenser. Oh, so we have to then find fan out of the capacitor. The fan wire powers the fan motor start winding. So now all three are wired. We're done with that. Now we're going to wire our compressor. So this is just the top section of a compressor. We had one cut open. I didn't want to carry a full compressor in. And we have a nice little plug that goes in this compressor. So this is the plug that goes with it. Clips on right here. And from this plug, it already gives us our three windings. We have black common, red run, and in this case brown for start, which a lot of times it's actually blue. But so I'm just going to lay this plug here because it's for demonstration purposes. This leg powered to run winding. So we find the red wire here. This is going to be our run winding. This is going to power the inductive run winding load for the compressor. And then we have work. We'll see common come home to the opposite side. We'll put this with the other common wires because they have something in common. And then we have this brown wire left. This brown wire is going to be our start winding for the compressor. So I'm going to put this on Herm because it's a hermetically sealed compressor start winding. And now if I was able to plug this in, and assuming it was the right plug, which it is not, we would be wired and ready to go. I'm just going to clip it over here for demonstration purposes. So this is the wiring for a basic plain plane unit. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take these capacitors, we're going to replace them with two individual capacitors. That's going to be the next video.